Welcome, dear listeners, to day 2 of our book reading of Guru Leela, Volume 4, Mohanji and I. I am honored to continue this journey with you, sharing the divine experiences and wisdom within these pages. Let's begin with gratitude and devotion. I humbly request your forgiveness for any mispronunciations that may occur. I deeply respect the sacred words of the Bhagavad Gita and I seek your understanding as I recite this with sincerity. Let's begin. My Tryst with Destiny, Ananta Nalbanda, UK, February 2021. A guru and disciple connection is eternal, beyond the boundary of time, space, and species. A true disciple follows his master, lifetime after lifetime, and when he meets the eternal master, the recognition is instant and the waiting is finally over. Here is a heartful experience by Anant who came to know of Mohanji barely 6 months ago. But his recognition of his Guru and the assurance and acceptance from the Guru says it all. Beginning, chant the Aditya Hridayam, a powerful hymn dedicated to the sun god. While studying at Sri Satya Sai Baba's ashram, after chanting Aditya Hridayam daily in the morning for 2 years, I had a vision of Satya Sai Baba, prophesying meeting my Guru in this lifetime. He showed a vision of a sage with a long white beard. I had no clue who this powerful master was. Fast forward 30 years. I traveled to Prasanthi Nilayam in January 2020 and had one of my best energy experiences at the Samadhi of Sri Satya Sai Baba. I returned to London and was guided to include Gayatri Mantra Sadhana along with my daily Aditya Hridayam chanting. 2 months into my sadhana, the coronavirus pandemic peaked in the world. I was scared initially being in the front line, but as my sadhana continued, I felt energized with my practice. One night, I heard a voice saying, Akkalkot Maharaj, in my dream state. I started exploring about Akkalkot Maharaj, which led me to Mohanji. I felt all holy masters were working in unison. By divine grace, I came across Mohanji's divine mission, and there was no looking back. Humbling experience. I read about the Maitri method and was fascinated about it, and applied to be trained in the method. Even though I am a trained medical doctor, I always felt an inner calling to offer holistic medicine to my patients, and it has taken me on the journey of training myself with different energy healing practices such as Reiki, angelic Reiki, etc. I received an email from the Maitri Method team rejecting my application for Maitri Method training. I offered my sincere gratitude to the team as they kickstarted my transformation process. It was truly humbling experience. I read more about the Maitri method and how it involves connecting to Mohanji's consciousness. I got in touch with the Mohanji UK team and what happened next is beyond my wildest imagination. It was as if some unknown force was guiding me. I was kindly included in the Mohanji UK WhatsApp group and the first thing posted in the group was about the pilot on Invest in Awareness program. During my participation in the program, I was informed about the Early Birds Club. I started being part of the early morning meditations and service activities after getting in touch with the ACT team. The more I got involved in the early morning meditations, the more I started experiencing a deep connection to Mohanji. I started doing these meditations, and an intense desire to read about Mohanji's teachings led me to devotees who live very close to where I live. And it was no coincidence that within 1 month of knowing Mohanji, I was deep into reading about him from the books I received. Agony. An intense desire to meet Mohanji in person started burning me from the inside. It was further compounded by the fact that Mohanji was physically present just a few minutes from my place a year ago. It reached its peak, and I slept one night crying, not being able to control myself. The next morning, I see a message on Facebook about an opportunity to meet Mohanji virtually on August 15th, 2020. I was initially hesitant to submit a video or audio to the podcast team to facilitate this virtual meeting, but Mohanji had his way of encouraging me. One evening, whilst I was chanting the Mohanji Gayatri mantra and thinking whether to submit my audio clip about the podcast, Mohanji's book, which was on the shelf, literally flew and fell near me. I was a little shaken. It was as if Mohanji was saying, "You wanted to see me? Now, when the opportunity arises, you are shying away." After this experience, I submitted my testimonial to the podcast team and had my first virtual darshan of Mohanji on August 15th, 2020. Maitri session. I came across a group Maitri session to be conducted just after a week of my darshan and enrolled myself for it. I also came to know that this day was sacred to Mohanji's family. August 23rd, 2020, 3:45 p.m. to 4 p.m. This was one of the most significant days of my life. What I experienced during this group Maitri session was beyond my imagination. I share it with the deepest gratitude to Mohanji. The participants were asked to have a clear intention for the session, and I had two. First, I have an energy block on the right side of the body due to jump starting my Kundalini energy through improper tantric practices, and I sincerely repented following it. I prayed to Mohanji to forgive me and, if possible, help me with unblocking of the energy on my right. And the second intention, I prayed sincerely that even if he is unable to forgive me, he should help me connect to his consciousness. Life changing moment. Midway through the session, I suddenly felt a movement of energy in my right lower limb, followed by the right upper limb. Tears started flowing from my eyes as I felt Mohanji's presence and his mercy. As I started feeling his presence in front of me, Subhashri, who was conducting the session, started chanting the following verse. ॐ शतसहस्रसूर्याय विद्महे अवधूताय धीमहि तन्नो मोहन प्रचोदयात्. I understand the essence of Mohanji as the brightness of more than 100,000 suns together. I recognize this brightness as highly auspicious. May this being called Mohanji enlighten me. Then the moment which I will never forget in my life happened. I saw Mohanji right in front of me growing bigger and bigger and taking a huge form. It was his Vishwarupa. I was suddenly reminded of this sloka from the Bhagavad Gita, which is so close to my heart. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sudurdarshanam idam rupam drishtavan asiyan mama deva apyasya rupasya nityam darshanam akankshinah naham naveder tapasa nadadena chejaya shakyam evam vidho darshatam drishtavan asi mamyatha. The Supreme Lord said, "This form of mine that you are seeing is exceedingly difficult to behold. Even the celestial gods are eager to see it. Neither by the study of the Vedas nor by penance, charity, or fire sacrifices can I be seen as you have seen me." I was knocked off for 1 or 2 minutes after experiencing this divine form of Mohanji. Thousands of images and thoughts started flooding me. The image which Sri Satya Sai Baba showed me 30 years ago flashed before me. He is the one, a deep understanding of my vision 30 years ago, and the emotional roller coaster of my life all came to a standstill. The wait was over. I recognized the Divine Master. As I write this in all humility, I feel foolish to have limited such a magnificent, unparalleled, and universal consciousness of Mohanji to his physical frame. He is beyond constraints of time and space. He is not in a faraway place, but in a place within our reach, our hearts, where our soul resides. I am grateful to Mohanji for this incredible experience and offer my sincere gratitude to Subhashri for facilitating this. The journey towards the Master. As I describe my journey to the Holy Master, which culminated with his darshan, sparshan, and sambhashan, I take this opportunity to offer my humble salutations to all the masters of the Guru Mandala and members of Mohanji family who have facilitated this. Testing period. After the group Maitri session, I started to experience visions of Mohanji, some of which were beyond this realm, and I have also started experiencing his multidimensional presence, and my connection with him over lifetimes. Everything was going well. I was eagerly waiting for the moment to meet my Holy Master. What happened to me next is beyond the comprehension of my analytical mind. I happened to meet another elevated master purely by divine grace, and this holy master showered his immense love and grace on me. He would communicate and speak about my spiritual practices, which Mohanji had already discussed with me in my visions. I felt I was living in two worlds, a virtual world where I was communicating with Mohanji and experiencing him as an intergalactic master beyond my human imagination, and this terrestrial world wherein this holy master was communicating the same things mentioned by Mohanji, but on a physical plane. Although I had beautiful experiences, the emotional and spiritual crunching that I went through at this time was tough. It was the sheer grace of Mohanji which helped me through this period. I was constantly reminded of Mohanji's words: one path, one guru, and one tradition. I also discovered Mohanji and Sri Satya Sai Baba share the same Gotra of Rishi Bharadwaj and belong to the same Datta tradition. Agony. An intense desire to meet or speak to Mohanji in person kept burning inside me. At this juncture, I received a message from a friend from South Africa advising me to apply for consciousness Kriya, as she felt guided by the masters to convey this message to me. I was hesitant to apply for consciousness Kriya due to my past experience of being rejected for the Maitri method training. But a series of divine visions and experiences led me to apply for the CK training, which got approved. I was ecstatic and continued my sadhana. And truly, by divine grace, I had the opportunity to get in touch with Mohanji, who was kind enough to allow me to meet him in person in India. I was overjoyed with Mohanji's grace and booked a ticket to India. I had consciousness Kriya training in December 2020 and started practicing it in all enthusiasm while preparing for my trip to India. As a newbie to the Mohanji fold, prior to leaving to India, I gently inquired if I could ask Mohanji to initiate me in consciousness Kriya when I meet him in person. It was mentioned that initiation is a properly arranged event as Mohanji goes into a deep state and he doesn't usually do individual initiations. I felt despondent listening to this and decided not to ask Mohanji regarding the initiation. I hadn't yet realized the testing and churning required to meet a holy master, which are essential for gaining eligibility to meet him in person, were going to intensify. I received a phone call from a closely associated person with Mohanji and Satya Sai Baba in the past who called me to warn me about Mohanji. The key message was that Mohanji would take me away from Satya Sai Baba and he would cast a spell on me. I have been with Sri Satya Sai Baba in his ashram in the past, and people speaking negatively about gurus weren't anything new to me. I thanked the person for the advice, but informed this person that I would like to experience Mohanji myself, as I have complete faith in what Satya Sai Baba had shown me in my vision. I was amazed at the level of scrutiny, testing, and churning which I experienced in addition to the 30 years of waiting to meet Mohanji. The day of my travel arrived finally, and as the final test on the day of my travel, the UK government announced Tier 4 restrictions on travel, and there was a message that flights may be cancelled. My heart skipped a beat, but I was sure Monji would ensure my flight wasn't cancelled. I came to know subsequently that my flight was the last operational flight to India from London. As I sat on the flight, I was only connecting to Mohanji and his abundant grace and blessings. My master, I am on my way to you. Meeting with Mohanji, destiny re-return. I arrived at Mohanji's place and was welcomed by Chris, Anant, and Kamath. I felt at home and I felt so comfortable talking to them, even though I was meeting them in person for the first time. Then the moment I had waited 30 years finally arrived. Mohanji appeared before me and sat on his chair. He looked resplendent, and I had tears in my eyes. Anyatha sharanam nasti tvameva sharanam mama tasmat karunya bhavena raksha mahesha. O Lord, please show mercy on me, as there is no one but you. I prostrate in front of you to kill all my sins and to seek your blessings. I chanted this verse as I bowed to kiss his holy feet. I couldn't take my eyes off him and asked his permission to chant Aditya Rudayam, and Sri Guru Paduka Panchakam. I have been chanting Aditya Rudayam for more than 30 years, but I started fumbling in my chanting before the Holy Master. But his divine eyes filled me with his unconditional love, and I could complete chanting the verses. As I was holding his feet and chanting the last verse of Sri Guru Paduka Panchakam, which says, Ananta Samsara Samudratara Naukayitabhyam Sthira Bhakti Dabhyam Jadyabdhi Samsosana Vadavabhyam Namo Namah Sri Guru Padukabhyam. Salutations again and again to Sri Guru, Guru's sandals, which are a boat to cross the endless ocean of the world, which bestows steadfast devotion and which are a raging fire to dry the ocean of insensitivity. Sorry. I suddenly felt my hands were on fire and they started trembling. Mohanji gave a gentle smile and I was suddenly filled with deep inner peace which I had never experienced before. Mohanji and Sri Satya Sai Baba. Mohanji started talking to me about my connection with Sri Satya Sai Baba and how I was connected to him for the last 16 to 18 lifetimes. He shared a few personal experiences which were closely related to Sri Satya Sai Baba. As I sat before Mohanji, I felt the same energy and vibrations I used to experience with Sri Satya Sai Baba, and I felt a complete sense of returning to my roots. I am finally home at the feet of my master. He was kind enough to sign his card with words Sai Ram. It is befitting to mention that this juncture that I had never felt this close to Sri Satya Sai Baba before. Any doubts which I had in the past in my mind disappeared instantly. Mohanji subsequently asked me to apply for my Kri method and informed me he would initiate me into consciousness Kriya later in the day. I was spellbound. I did not realize what was happening. The Holy Master was fulfilling the innermost desires of mine even without asking. He is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. He does his job. Consciousness Kriya initiation experience. Mohanji introduced me to Achan and Amma, with parents who were so loving and caring. I experienced unconditional love from them, and I saw and experienced Mohanji attending to his parents with so much love. I remember Sri Satya Sai Baba's words advising me always to take care of my parents. I witnessed this in action with Mohanji, lovingly serving food to his mother and speaking to his father with love and respect. Later in the day, Mohanji asked me if he could initiate me into consciousness Kriya the next day, as this was unplanned and he was so busy. He asked me when my flight to my hometown was the next day. I informed him I could postpone my journey, but he decided to initiate me on the same day as he did not want me to postpone my journey and delay meeting my mother. He proved once again his life was his message, and it was also enforcing what I had learned in Sri Satya Sai Baba's ashram. Later, Mohanji kindly initiated me into consciousness Kriya. The moment he touched my head and started giving me the initiation, I felt the presence of all the holy masters, Babaji, Sri Satya, Sai Baba, and Lord Shiva. I was transported to a different realm and I didn't want to return. Mohanji most lovingly asked me if I was okay after the initiation and mentioned he passed on energy in moderation so that I could take it. He also mentioned I might fall sick and asked me to get on with my sadhana. I was overwhelmed with his unconditional love and compassion. A meeting which was supposed to last few minutes turned out to be a life-changing day in my life. I had the great fortune of spending a day with him, and every single moment was a demonstration of the practical application of Vedic doctrines. I experienced something which I never experienced before. For the following 10 days, I could feel changes taking place at the cellular level in my physical body. I did not feel the need for sleep or food. I was bedridden for a few days and gradually started to recoup with his divine blessings. As I write this in all humility and with complete surrender to Mohanji, my only prayer to him is to give me the blessings of remaining connected to his divine consciousness always. All right, so let's stop for the day today. And while reading this experience, I was speechless. I mean, I had tears in my eyes. It was so So beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone. See you